Donald Trump is unpredictable. His deadlines are elastic. His views are epileptic. You can never understand and appreciate what he's saying today and tomorrow. And the question is, you can enter into an arrangement with him one day and the next day he's taken a totally different position. And I think that that can be very frustrating. As compared to other administrations, there was what I call policy stability. When you dealt with the Biden administration, there was policy stability. If you dealt with the Obama administration, there was policy stability. That does not mean that they did not prosecute wars that ought not to have been prosecuted, but there was predictability. America, in my view, has never seen an administration like the Trump administration, and they don't know how to deal with it.
We are tracking breaking news right now on the war in Iran and that looming deadline. This morning, President Trump is ramping up threats to launch a, quote, a massive attack if Tehran cannot forge a deal to open the Strait of Hormuz by 5 p.m. The president posting on social media minutes ago, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will," end quote. Iran's leaders responded to Trump's other threats overnight, saying if more attacks are carried out, the U.S. will be blocked from getting oil and gas for years. Iran's president says more than 14 million Iranians have declared their readiness to give their lives to defend the country. An Iranian minister has called for young people to form human chains around the country's power plants ahead of the deadline. Experts warn what Trump is threatening could be considered a war crime if civilian infrastructure is hit.
Whether something is a crime or not a crime would have to be decided by a court, but any attack on civilian infrastructure is a violation of international law, and a very clear one.
President Trump has previously brushed off concerns about committing possible war crimes. Iran just yesterday rejecting a ceasefire proposal. The UN Security Council is set to vote on a resolution to unblock the strait this morning.
Well, another head-spinning day here at the White House. A much-anticipated news conference. The president, his defense secretary, his top general, and his CIA director. There was a lot on the dramatic rescue of the two F-15 crew. It was presented like a film script. But first, the deadline the president has set.
The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
So many questions. What does that deadline actually mean? And is he sticking to it? Well, it seems so.
We're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants, Stone Ages, Stone Ages.
That would mean bombing civilian infrastructure. Is he concerned then about war crimes?
No, not at all, no, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it.
What about the Strait of Hormuz? Last week, he said America doesn't need it. This week?
I would say it's a very big priority.
So what's the plan for that critical shipping lane now?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won.
A central question is, what do the Iranians have to do to meet Trump's deadline? How could they make a deal? And that is assuming they even want to.
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
So does all this mean that the war could be winding down? Well, the president wasn't sure, or wouldn't tell us.
I don't know. I can't tell. It depends what they do. This is a critical period.
We also got detail of that extraordinary weekend rescue.
He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
The president framed it as a spectacular success, and it certainly was a success in that the crew and the rescue teams all made it out alive. But we did get hints of just how fraught and risky it was.
The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft. They're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand. and it eats planes alive.
President Trump also confirmed reports that planes had to be left behind and destroyed by the Americans.
We blew up the old planes. We blew them up to smithereens.
The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has often framed this war in religious terms. And in this news conference on Easter Monday, it was the rescued pilot who, for Hegseth, took on the role of Easter's central character.
Shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. A pilot reborn. God is good.
Honestly, you couldn't make it up. This war has been marked by mixed messages. The president flip-flopping, new ideas, old ones revived, confusion and contradiction, but framed in his mind as complete clarity. At the end, there was a dig at NATO for its lack of support. And then, from nowhere, the news conference ended with this.
If you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye.
We are just hours away from President Trump's deadline to Iran. He's telling Iran's regime to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face mass destruction, including all of the country's bridges and power plants.
They want us to keep bombing.
As the clock ticks down to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump's threats are getting more specific.
Every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock. Every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again.
Trump was asked repeatedly Monday whether such attacks on civilian infrastructure would constitute a war crime. He insisted the Iranian people get it.
They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing.
The war was also on his mind at the annual White House Easter egg roll.
I don't think it gets much more hostile than Iran.
Flanked by the Easter Bunny and the First Lady, Trump rejected a 45-day ceasefire proposed by other countries in the region.
The only one that's going to set a ceasefire is me. I haven't set any ceasefire.
Despite his tough talk, Trump said he believes the Iranians are negotiating in good faith, though he claimed the talks have been hampered by the destruction caused by U.S. missiles.
We're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication.
With gas prices surging and his poll numbers sagging, Trump acknowledged there is pressure on him to wrap up this war.
Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, and would make plenty of money.
At one point yesterday, Trump claimed that he could take out the entire country in one night if he wanted to, and then he added that night could be tonight. The president of Iran posted on X overnight, quote, over 14 million proud Iranians have, up until this moment, declared their readiness to sacrifice their lives in defense of Iran. I, too, have been, am, and will be a sacrifice for Iran.